Good afternoon, everyone. This is StoleYaSweetroll coming to you with another build tutorial. In today's tutorial, we'll be starting a multiple-part series on how to build cabin number 2 from start to finish. If you haven't already, I would advise watching the tutorials I've posted prior to this video, as they cover a lot of the techniques I'll be using in this build. So, let's get started. Before we start building, go ahead and screen capture the blueprints for reference. This will help keep track of what we're building. In our first step, we'll be establishing the center snapping point for the build. By using foundations, we'll align the structure with the road, and then snap our way back to where our center point will be. To measure out the distance, we'll be test fitting the 45-degree offset blueprint that we built in the Merge Foundations tutorial. Once we've established a center point, we'll move on to the next step, floating the offset roof. In order to offset the roof, we need to remove the offset and slide our snapping point forward and up. Then we need to rebuild the offset blueprint. Next, we'll snap the walls in and then build the roof section. Once the roof is built, use the replace option to float the individual pieces while removing the support walls. Next up, we'll be re-establishing our center point and adjusting the placement of the offset walls to properly align the roof overhang. Once again, we need to remove the offset and move the center point. This time we'll be moving it back and down. Then, we will build walls to check our alignment. This will take a few tries to get perfectly aligned. Now that we've got our alignment right, we can remove the temp walls, and then we'll go ahead and prepare the roof for the placement of the chimney. Looking back to the chimney tutorial, we'll be doing the same thing here, except the bottom part of the stack will be offset in an L shape. Let's go ahead and build a temporary platform to work on. Using a rug and an extra fireplace for support, we can stack the two pieces in this orientation, and then do a drop merge using the pressure plate. Once your merged base is built, go ahead and blueprint it for future use. Now, we'll go ahead and place the base of our chimney on a conduit. There is no exact science on this next step, and it is quite possibly the most frustrating step in the build. But we need to figure out where the chimney needs to go in the final build, and then we need to move the chimney off the foundation while keeping its alignment intact and delete the foundations we were building on. And then we need to place the chimney back in perfect alignment with its final position. Forgive me, as I make this step more complicated than it needs to be. I end up freehanding the chimney in place after all my efforts to get it placed perfectly with conduit fail. But the conduit did at least keep everything facing the right direction, and it put me in the ballpark of where it needed to go. In your build, you could just snap back in place using the conduits at the floor level. But I wanted the chimney to be a bit shorter, and I wanted the conduit below the floor level in my build. Like I said, there's no exact science to this bit, and it can be done many different ways to achieve different effects. Moving on. In all honesty, this next step could have been done before moving the chimney down, but it doesn't matter too much. We need to use the face-to-face fireplace blueprint we made in the chimney tutorial, and stack 2 more pairs of fireplaces to finish the chimney stack. Unbeknownst to me, it was at this moment a key measurement flew right over my head with regards to the chimney placement. Notice how close the chimney is to the placeholder roof? Turns out, this piece is the best thing to go off when determining the final placement, but I didn't realize it at the time. So save yourself some headache and be sure there is an adequate gap to accommodate the roof overhang, but not so much gap that the walls clip through the front of the chimney. I'll have to fix this later. Did I mention this step is the most frustrating? Moving on, let's go ahead and start laying out the floor for our cabin. Once again, I'm snapping in the offset blueprint, but only to determine the proper rotation for the floors. I'll be removing it again at the end of this step. By using a placeholder floor and a set of stairs, I can use a half upper floor to offset the dining room by exactly one half floor. Now, we'll go ahead and remove the floors that are not needed right now, so we can build the footers. We'll start by building a placeholder floor at the front right side of the building, offset by 2 floors. This will give us space to build our scaffolding around the exterior of the build for the footers. In order to build underground, we'll be using my underground scaffolding trick. Depending on the height of your floor, you may need to use a small box as a makeshift step to transition from the rug to the floor. Now, let's go ahead and build our support for the footers. Be sure to reference the blueprint from the beginning of the video. It's real easy to get lost down here. Now that our support is built, let's go ahead and build the walls that will make up our footers. We'll detach the support later. Moving on, let's go ahead and build our front porch using the asbestos roof panels. One important thing to note is you need to float the roof panel below your intersecting floor line. Otherwise, there will be clipping issues when you build the merged floor later, and the roofs will overlap on top of your floor. Let's go ahead and fill in this gap. Now we'll go ahead and offset our bathroom walls. It's easiest to do early on, before we get too far into the build. Now, let's go ahead and get some help. We're going to use PvP to break all the objects that need merged and/or broken from support. You can do it with a flamethrower trap, but this is much quicker if there's somebody who can help you. Now, let's go underground and remove all of the support structures from the footers. Be careful not to delete the foundations by accident, as their textures overlap. Now we'll fit the last piece of the deck in place, and we'll finish up the floor under the bathroom and replace the walls. Sadly, there was about 15 minutes of footage that didn't save, and the important step of building the front stairs is not shown here. I'll cover that fix along with fixing the spacing for the chimney and fitting the railing in part 2. That said, let's go ahead and build the front fascia of the cabin. With the roof back in place, you'll find the slants no longer snap in, so we'll use PVP to break any obstructing objects and merge the front walls into place. Using the replace option, we'll change out all of the walls to their final design. And with that, we'll be wrapping up part 1 of the cabin number 2 build tutorial. Like I stated earlier, there were a few mistakes made and footage that was lost. In part 2, we'll be covering how to fix those mistakes and how to properly fit in the stairs for the front and back deck, along with how to build the railings. We'll also progress the cabin build further. So, if you like what I'm doing here and don't want to miss out on future build videos and tutorials, be sure to give this video a like and comment down below. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe and ring that bell icon so you can get alerts for all of my new videos. Once again, I want to thank all of you for all of your support. So until next time, this is StoleYaSweetroll, signing off. Have a wonderful day and happy building.